Is a fourth grader at play pit, and Bryn is a first grader at play pit, and they're going to tell you about this.
I know what this thing is.
No, right there. Like this violin.
The violin has 4 strings, a G string, D string, A string, and G string. E string is the high string and G is the low string. On the violin there are 2 echoes, the sound comes out of them. There's the bridge that holds up the strings, there's the fine tuners. I don't have all my fine tuners on, but there is 3 more. These are the pegs to help tune the more strings. This is the chin rest, and then you have shoulder rest, so please stop this and the bow is made of horsehair. To make a sound with the horsehair of the bow, you put on the sound, but you need this stuff called rust, and it's dried sap that you rub onto the strings.
Play something? Go ahead. Show the violin, so I promise Bryn can play something else. Bryn, what are you going to play for us? Okay.
Not all of it.
Right, just a little bit. Versus the brass or the wind instruments.
Instruments are easier to play for younger children.
String instruments come in different sizes. So the girls actually started, Mallory started when she was in kindergarten, Bryn started when she was in preschool. And so you can get little instruments and then you go from there. She started in a 1/16, she's up to a 1/4 now, and it's a half size. It's still not even full size violins yet. 3/4 size, 3/4 size now. So there's still a ways to go. And then Mike is now going to show us. Mike's going to show us one that's most closely related.
Yeah, you can see just the different sizes. This is a 1/4, this is a 3/4. There's an 1/8 about here, and a 16, about basically the size of the body. They are not, it's kind of confusing when you see an eighth, a 16th. They're not legitimately an eighth of the size or the 16th. It's just the way they measure it. A full-size violin basically comes up to about here. But when you start your child on violin or cello, any string instrument, they come in relative sizes to fit them. And then as they get larger, you move to the next size. Much unlike woodwinds or brass, which come one size. The reason why they usually start orchestra string instruments earlier in age, kids can start 3, 4 years old, because you can get an instrument that small to play. They usually don't start wind instruments till 4th grade, because the child has to be large enough to be able to handle a full-size instrument. Another instrument that's related to the violin is called what? What's this called? Viola, or it's known in French, voila. The viola is bigger or smaller than a violin? Bigger, so you're cheating. All right, this is a little bigger. This is actually a full-size viola. Violas come in the same sizes, except they come in, they're classified in inches. Now, why did I do that with violins, I don't know. But you can get a 10-inch viola, 11-inch viola, 12-inch viola. And basically, say something like a 3/4 violin is actually a 13-inch viola. And it's basically the same instrument, except it's tuned differently. It's tuned to the viola tune, which is a fifth lower. So you get the lower sound. So on the viola, it's a little lower sounding, it's a little louder sounding too. These are a little louder because it's big. This is a full size. Yeah, not bad for a few lessons. Someday I'll learn it. But the viola is just as important as violin. In the orchestra, it tends to take a little less of a role as being important. But the viola is a great instrument. It's actually my favorite because it's just a little bigger, mellower sound. Very nice to play. So that's the viola. And then last but not least, what is this called?
Cello.
Cello, right. Cello, of course, is lower sounding, right? Yeah. This is a half-size cello. A full-size cello basically only gives you about that much more. But it's very hard to handle. I don't know any child that plays a full-size cello or ever will, because you have to really grow into it. Yeah. 3/4, yeah, but you don't play full-size, do you? Because that's a big stretch. I don't play cello, nor do I pretend to. But it's a lot lower sounding. It's a very nice instrument to play. You don't, usually on violin you stand to play, unless you're in an orchestra, you sit down, but almost everybody practices standing up. So cello's great for
Sitting down.
being lazy, right, because you get to sit down all the time. So that's, if you know, unless you're, well, there's some movie, somebody played cello in marching band. Did you ever see that? I can't remember what it is, but he had a chair with him. And he would run and put the chair down. Woody Allen, yeah. He sits down, he plays a few notes, and the band marches away. He grabs his chair and he runs, he sets it down again, plays a few notes and runs. That doesn't really work very well in band. So needless to say, they don't have cello in band. Yeah. Really? Well, that's going to be tough to do. I don't know if I want to. Yeah, that's a little tough. I wouldn't suggest it. At least, it gets a little dangerous. So anyways, that's it for instruments. What we'd like to do is...
Well, left one out, we're sort of going to let people sort of try the percussion instruments for Wayland Public Schools.